original.
Hello, and welcome to Webcrawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week, we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I'm Allie Siegel.
I'm Melissa Stettin.
And producer Maria. Producer Maria is out for the day. She is going to be popping in and out of the show because she's working on her own stuff right now. So we miss her dearly.
We miss her so much. Please come back.
Please come back.
It's been 1 week.
Yeah, maybe I'll do some impressions of her throughout the show so people can get like a feel. A feel for her. Melissa, who are our patrons for today?
We've got Casey, Ashley, and Isabel.
Welcome to the team. We are so excited to have you. Melissa, I actually have no idea what the episode is on today. What are we talking about? What are we getting into?
So we got an email last week from Rosanna, and it just said, cover this. And it was a link to a TikTok, and I was like, I'm interested.
Yes, I'm intrigued.
And it was about this ship that it was in the news. I'm not going to tell you why it's in the news until the end of the episode because it might spoil the thing.
Oh, yeah, no spoilers.
But it's about this expedition that happened in like 1914, this Antarctic expedition I never heard of because I don't pay attention in history class.
Yeah.
But it was pretty fascinating story.
Oh, I can't wait. And especially because we have a lot of Titanic heads who listen to the podcast. So they're going to love.
This is very similar to Titanic. It involves icebergs.
Oh, yes.
And sinking ships.
Oh, we love that. So you guys, for all you Titanic heads out there, this one is for you.
Okay, so in 1914, this explorer named Ernest Shackleton embarked on a very dangerous journey to Antarctica, where his crew was abandoned on the ice for over a year.
Oh, shit.
They had to sail these treacherous seas in these like shitty little lifeboats. They survived off of penguin and seal meat.
Oh, no, guys.
Somehow survived. It's a miracle. Let's find out how.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so this expedition was called the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition of 1914 to 1917. When Titanic was what, 1912?
That's cute that you think I know. I'm like, no, it was 1997, Melissa. It was in 1912. Okay. April 15th, 1912.
Right. Okay. So this was like 2 years after. They were like, fuck it. Let's go sail through
Let's do it again.
Yeah. He wanted to attempt the first land crossing of Antarctica because no one had ever crossed the land. So this Shackleton guy, he posted an advertisement in a London newspaper that said, men wanted for hazardous journey, low wages, bitter cold, long hours of complete darkness, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition.
That used to be my Tinder profile bio.
Long hours of complete darkness.
Yeah. Return not guaranteed.
Honor and recognition in event of success. So this guy received more than 5,000 applications, including a letter from quote unquote 3 sporty girls.
Oh, okay.
Who suggested that if their feminine garb was inconvenient, they would just love to don masculine attire.
All right. Some modern women.
Yeah. So he eventually chose 27 men. There was also a stowaway. It was his friend, Perce Blackbarrow, whose application was turned down. He's like, fuck it, I'm going on this ship, and just like snuck on the ship.
Why do all olden time names sound fake?
Perce Blackbarrow.
Yeah.
The captain of the ship was Frank Worsley. There were a couple of surgeons. There was a geologist, a biologist, a physicist, a meteorologist, and a photographer who took pictures of the whole thing. There's all these photos online of all these men, the ship, the ice, everything. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my God.
So they started in South Georgia, not Atlanta, not Georgia,
Not Atlanta, not Hotlanta,
but south, like near Argentina, like the southernmost peak of South America.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I didn't realize Antarctica was pretty close to South America.
Me either.
So the conditions were horrible. And it was colder than usual for that time of the year.
Ooh.
But Shackleton insisted they go on.
Oh, God.
He had previously failed 2 other missions to Antarctica.
Oh, good.
So he's like, I'm not fucking up this chance. We're doing this. Which, looking back, turned out to be pretty reckless in hindsight.
Yeah.
Also, the Shackleton dude was married, but he was having an affair with an American actress at the time named Hope Patterson.
Hope Patterson.
Scandal. Also, his brother was implicated in some sort of like fraud scheme. So his life back home was like a bit of a mess. So people were like, oh, this might have been his motivation to get the hell out of there.
I was going to say, no wonder this guy wants to split.
Just left his personal life in a wake of destruction. He's like, I gotta go, guys.
Yeah.
So at South Georgia Island, they started at a whaling station where they picked up 2 tons of whale meat for their journey. Disgusting.
Oh,
That's what they were going to eat for like months.
God.
They also had 69 dogs.
To eat?
No. Well, no.
Oh, uh-oh.
They had
Oh,
69
no.
dogs.
Okay. I'm not going to say nice because I'm afraid of where this is going.
It's nice right now. And then they had 1 cat. They had 1 cat.
Oh, that's a good kitty right there.
Yeah. Okay, so Endurance was the name of the ship. It left South Georgia for Antarctica. The goal of the expedition was to establish a base on Antarctica's Weddell Sea coast. He wanted to like build a little home base there because no one had done that before.
All right.
So from there was a small party, including himself. Once they get to Antarctica, they would set out crossing the continent, arriving at the Ross Sea, which is south of New Zealand, where another group of people would be waiting for them because they would put like depots of food and fuel along the way. This was their goal.
Huh.
But 2 days after leaving South Georgia, they entered this pack of ice.
Uh-oh.
And it's this barrier of thick ice that is all around Antarctica. Like it's just there constantly. You just kind of have to sail through it.
Oh, God.
So for weeks, the ship just kind of like prodded its way through the ice, like slowly just kind of making its way through. And they were already behind schedule at this time. So this ice was just like making everything go like much slower.
Oof.
And so Captain Frank was like very concerned. He's like, we're already behind schedule. The ice is going to get worse. But Shackleton was like, no, it's fine. Let's keep going.
Don't worry about it. It's just some ice.
It's fine. It's just ice. It'll melt eventually.
Yeah, it just melts.
But then on January 18th, the ice was like packed super hard against the land.
Oh, God.
And it pushed these ice flows against each other. So it was kind of like squeezing the ship in from like each side. The ship was getting stuck by this ice.
Oh, shit.
And suddenly it just got stuck.
Oh, no.
It was just surrounded by ice. This ship was just
oh my
stuck
God.
with ice.
Fuck.
And then one of the crew members said it was frozen like an almond in the middle of a chocolate bar. That was their analogy.
so it was delicious. Okay, so
yeah, it was.
So it was incredible.
Chocolate?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
So that sounds great.
So they had been within 1 day sailing of their landing place.
Oh no!
So they were like almost to their landing place, but they got
close,
stuck in this ice.
Oh fuck!
And then when they got stuck in this drift of ice, it was slowly pushing them farther north.
Oh no!
Because they couldn't sail. They just had to go with the ice.
Yeah, to go with the flow.
They're like, well, fuck! It's just moving us back up.
Shit!
So there's nothing they could do. So they just established a camp on the ice surrounding. But like the ice was only like 2 to 3 feet thick.
That doesn't seem that like disastrous, but I guess it is.
Yeah, like they just couldn't they didn't know what to do. The ship was slowly being squeezed by the ice, and the ship was like cracking.
Oh, shit.
So they were like, well, let's just camp out on the ice, wait till it melts, or when they see an opening, they would like chisel the ice to try to like break it up so the ship could move, but like nothing worked.
Oh, God.
And they didn't have enough whale meat to last that long. So they started eating penguins and seals.
Classic problem. Who among us has not been like, running out of whale meat?
Time to get the penguins.
Time to get the penguins out. Oh, God.
So they were just eating penguins and seal meat.
This is disgusting.
Also, it was 24 hours of darkness for the first few months because they're all the way at,
Oh, my God. This is a disaster scenario.
It's crazy. So these people were like going a little crazy.
Yeah, I'd say so.
There's pictures of them. Like they would take ice baths for fun, like naked ice baths for fun.
Oh.
But it was like negative 20 degrees.
This all sounds horrible.
Like they were just freezing constantly eating fucking penguins.
Ew.
So Alexander Macklin, who's one of the ship's surgeons, he said that Ernest Shackleton did not rage at all or show outwardly the slightest sign of disappointment. He told us simply and calmly that we must winter in the pack, explained its dangers and possibilities, never lost his optimism, and prepared for winter. So at least Shackleton was like in a good mood. He was like, It's fine, guys. We'll get through this.
He was cool under pressure.
Yeah. But in private, however, the surgeon would talk shit to the ship's captain, Frank. He's like, this ship can't live in this, skipper. It may be months and it may be only a question of weeks or even days, but what the ice gets, the ice keeps.
That was a really beautiful... What are you auditioning for? That was a really good...
The role of skipper in endurance play. So they were camped for about 6 months, just like outside the ship, just waiting for the ice.
Oh my God.
They had linen tents where they put like tarps over them. They didn't plan on camping outside, so they didn't bring like camping gear.
Jesus Christ.
And the wind was fucking nuts. And then the ice was always cracking. So they would have to like wake up in the middle of the night to like move their tents. They're like, oh, fuck, the ice is cracking. We don't want to fall into the fucking ocean.
Oh,
so
God.
like it was miserable. Like they never got a full night's sleep. It was freezing and
this
raining. This
sounds horrible.
Yeah. Then eventually the ice started to crush their ship.
Oh, good. Things are getting better every second.
Things are getting better. There's pictures of this online too. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, no.
And they tried to save it. They were just like in the ship, like trying to pour out the water, like in the Titanic.
Oh my God.
But eventually they had to abandon it and they just had to watch it sink into the ocean. They were like, bye.
Oh,
Bye,
God.
ship. So then they were like, okay, well, we can't wait for the ice to melt, so we got to get the hell out of here. And they had 3 lifeboats, like these tiny lifeboats, but it was all ice, so they couldn't sail anywhere.
Jesus.
So they had to hike 346 miles to Paulette Island.
Oh my God.
This whole thing is a nightmare. They salvaged as many things as they could while sacrificing things that added weight. They sacrificed their Bibles, books, clothing, tools, keepsakes. Some of the younger dogs,
oh, babies,
that couldn't pull their weight, they were killed.
No.
And then unfortunately, fucking Shackleton was like, the cat's gotta go.
No.
And the owner was like, no.
Good.
But they're like, we have no. But they took the cat. They killed the younger animals and the cat, and they ate the meat.
I hate
the guy who owned the cat like never forgave Shackleton for, even though the cat probably would die eventually. But it's so sad. How dare they kill this cat?
I'm devastated.
Their plan was to march across the ice toward the land, but that whole plan was abandoned after they only hiked 7 miles in 7 days.
What was wrong with them?
They're like, okay, so they're going a mile a day. They have 346 miles to go. It would be a year for them to get to this island. They're like, this is not a good plan.
Even I could hike more than that, I think.
It was so cold, and they had to drag their lifeboats.
Okay,
and it
good
was
point.
like-
Good point. Okay, touche.
It was just all ice.
Oh, God.
Shackleton wrote in his diary, "There was no alternative but to camp once more on the floe and to possess our souls with what patience we could till conditions should appear more favorable for a renewal of the attempt to escape."
Oh, God.
So they set up camp, and the ice was like drifting them north. So they're like, we'll just fucking camp out, let the ice take us as far north as it can to like preserve our energy. But the penguins and the seals disappeared.
Uh-oh.
So they no longer could feed the dogs. They're like, well, we can't feed the dogs anymore.
Uh-oh.
And the food started running out. And they eventually were like, well, we have these dogs.
No.
I know, it's so sad. So they had to eat the dogs.
No.
They said it was like incredibly distressing for them because these dogs were like their best friends.
Yeah.
Like, they were with them
no.
through the whole thing, and they're like, they didn't know what to do.
Oh, poor puppies.
Crazy that these dogs survived in these like freezing conditions too.
Yeah, my dogs can hardly survive a night of fireworks.
My cats hate when someone knocks on the door.
Yeah, seriously.
So then slowly and steadily, the ice drifted farther to the north. Then on April 7th, 1916, which was, they started in 1914, over a year after.
Oh my God.
They saw the snow-capped peaks of Clarence and Elephant Islands. So they were like, yay, there's land.
Yeah, they had some hope.
They had some hope. So Shackleton said, "The ice floe has been a good friend to us, but it is reaching the end of its journey, and it is liable at any time now to break up." So on April 9th, the ice eventually cracked underneath them while they were hiking, but they had 3 lifeboats. So
That's
like,
good.
okay, well, let's get in these lifeboats. And they finally were in these boats and they could like row to the island finally. So they had another enemy to contend with, which was the open ocean, which is like, have you ever seen videos of people going through, it's something strait, I think it's called Georgia Strait, where people go to Antarctica and you have to go through this little strait and it's like the craziest waves.
No, but that
There's
sounds
videos
terrifying.
Of this online of people where the waves just crash over.
The open ocean is terrifying.
Especially down there. It's fucking crazy.
Oh God, I can't even imagine.
So yeah, so they're on these little lifeboats going through this fucking ocean.
My God.
And the boats were like, the water was just like spraying up in their faces.
Oh,
the boats were like,
Jesus.
going side to side. All these men had like crazy seasickness.
Oh,
there were
God.
killer whales out in the ocean.
Oh my God. Yeah, you ain't needing those babies.
And the temperature was dropping. And then after they traveled 3 miles, they realized that the sea had drifted them back 30 miles.
Oh my
So they're
God.
like, we're never going to make it to where I think Paulette Island they were going. They're like, we got to change course. We got to go to Elephant Island, which was a desolate island. There was no one on there. But they were like, that's the closest land. We got to get there. It's just this giant ice rock. They're like, we'll just go there.
Jesus.
So after 15 months on the ice, 7 days at sea, all 28 men made it to Elephant Island.
Thank God.
Well, thank God, but the journey
no.
has just begun.
It's just begun. Oh no. Let's take a quick break for announcements. Webcrawlers has a Patreon to get access to rewards, bonus episodes, shout outs, merchandise discounts. Please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month to become one of our bimbo patrons. Also, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. If you give us a 5-star review, we will shout you out on the podcast. Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here. 626-604-6262. I was lying before. You're not going to get to move in. Yeah, I know. Big surprise. You're not going to get to move in with Maria. So, but everyone, please call in.
No, we love your messages.
We love your voicemails. But I just
3-part, whatever part. Who cares?
Yeah, but I just had to clarify for our lawyer wanted us. Yeah, our lawyer, Alan Dershowitz. Now, back to our scheduled program.
So Captain Worsley, by that stage, he had not slept for 80 hours. Because you couldn't sleep on these fucking boats.
Yeah, oh my God.
And people had seasickness. Others had dysentery. Frank Wild, who was the second in command, wrote that at least half the party were insane.
Not surprising.
So then they were on this elephant island. So it was the first time they'd been on dry land since leaving South Georgia 497 days ago.
Jesus Christ.
And the likelihood of anybody coming across them was so small. No one knew where they were. They thought they were on Antarctica.
Oh my God.
So after they rested for 9 days on Elephant Island, and then Shackleton, Captain Frank Worsley, and 4 other dudes set out in one of the lifeboats. The James Caird is what they named it.
Interesting.
And so they were going to go to South Georgia, the whaling station where they initially started their journey, but it was 800 miles away.
Oh my God.
So they used materials from the 2 other lifeboats to repair this one boat.
These poor guys.
So the remaining 22 men were like seriously stranded. If no one came back for them, they didn't have boats. Their boats were dismantled to build this one boat.
Oh my God.
They were like, okay, see you guys later. Hopefully you come back for us.
Jesus.
They
just had to have faith in that. Oh my God.
They were like, well, I guess probably no one's ever going to come back for us.
Oh my God.
So, and there's a picture of them on this little tiny boat of them just like being like, bye. And like all the men were like waving to them.
Fuck.
So then these 6 dudes, Shackleton and his 5 men, were at sea for 16 days. And it was just swells and winds. They just kept having to like take buckets of water out of the boat. They had to like chisel off the ice from the sails.
Oh my God.
Shackleton said, every surge of the sea was an enemy to be watched and circumvented.
Jesus Christ.
So even as they were within touching distance of the goal, all these elements kept setting them back. Shackleton said the winds simply shrieked as it tore the tops off the waves, and they couldn't spot the sun for 3 days. So they didn't know where they were going because they would use the sun as like a calculation.
Yeah.
As like what direction they're going. And it was so gray and overcast that they
God.
They didn't know where they were going.
This whole thing makes me want to, this is horrible.
It's crazy. So the captain was like writing down all these calculations, like 25 degrees, 3 miles, like just in his head, figuring out where they were going.
Jesus Christ.
And they didn't have any waterproof gloves or boots at the time.
Oh my God.
They were just miserable. The salt water was deteriorating their sleeping bags.
Oh my God.
Their fresh water stash was leaking. They were frostbitten. But then the next day, the wind finally died down and they made it ashore to South Georgia Island.
Jesus Christ.
But there were hurricane force winds had pushed their boat off course. So they were at the island, but they landed on the other side of the island.
Oh my God.
Where the whaling station was, where they wanted to go. So they're like, okay, we made it. We could go back out in the ocean and go around 150 miles, or they could just hike across the mountain. They're like, fuck it, we're just gonna hike across the mountain. Like, fuck the ocean. We're not going back out there.
Jesus Christ.
So Shackleton was like, okay, well, it's stupid to take all 6 men. Let's just, me and 2 other guys go. So him, Captain Frank, and this guy named Tom set off on foot. They climbed over these mountains. It was like, at one point, it got up to like 9,000 feet. And it was just snow. Like, no human had ever crossed this island on foot before.
What?
They had to put brass nails in the bottom of their shoes to make like spikes.
Yeah, like snowshoes.
Yeah. They stopped every 20 minutes to rest because they couldn't sleep. Otherwise, they'd die.
They die of hypothermia.
So for 3 days, like every 20 minutes, they would just like stop and rest.
And that makes you go crazy, that kind of sleep deprivation.
Yes. So they reached the top of this peak and they were like, okay, well, let's just slide down this peak, which actually sounded pretty fun.
A good time. Yeah.
So they took all their rope and gathered it up and like built kind of a makeshift sled, and they just like slid down like 1,000 feet of this mountain. They're like, fuck it, we're not walking. Like, let's just slide down there.
Oh my God.
And then after 36 hours, they heard a whistle in the distance from the whaling station. They were like, we've made it. And their faces were all blackened with soot from blubber stoves because they were trying to keep warm and they were burning whale meat.
Oh my God.
This whole thing is insane.
Yeah, these sick fucks.
So then an old Norwegian whaler said, who the hell are you? And Shackleton said, my name is Shackleton. And everyone was like, what? What are you doing here?
What? Say what?
Out. So then they have to go back rescue the 3 men on the other side of the island.
Oh no, I'd be like, sorry guys, I ain't doing this again.
Sorry. And then they had to plan on going back to Elephant Island to get the other 22 men.
Oh, bummer. Oh man.
So once the other 3 members of this James Caird ship had been retrieved, so there were 3 attempts to get these men. So they had
oh my God.
a ship that they tried to sail to Elephant Island, but then it got dangerously low on fuel while trying to get around this ice pack. So they had to turn back to the Falkland Islands.
Oh my God.
And then the government of Uruguay sailed a vessel that came within 100 miles of Elephant Island, but then it was taken back by the ice. It got stuck and it was like moving back. So they
Jesus
had to
Christ.
abort that one. So there were 2 unsuccessful attempts. Meanwhile, these men on Elephant Island, they
like
no
starving?
idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They probably don't know what's going on.
They were like, waiting for who knows what's going to happen if they're just waiting to die or whatever. There's no cell phones.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, they can't shoot a text being like, on our way.
Hey, be on my way.
Oh, OMW.
So then each morning on Elephant Island, Frank Wild, who was left in charge, every morning he was like, everyone lash up and stow their belongings. The boss may come today.
That's
like
so dark.
Morning.
That's so sad.
So sad.
Oh my God.
But everyone was like dispirited and doubtful. And this Macklin guy wrote in his diary, eagerly on the lookout for the relief ship.
Oh.
And then it said, some of the party have quite given up hope of her coming. And another guy wrote, there's no good in deceiving ourselves any longer. It had been 3 months since
Stop it.
they were waiting there for 3 months. They were like, well, I guess no one's coming back for us.
How do you even keep track of time? Like you just like, oh God.
I don't know. Marks in the rocks.
In a wall. Yeah. God.
But Shackleton was determined to save these men. Also, he didn't want to be accused of abandoning them. This was like his legacy. He's like, I can't let these men die.
He's already a fuck up. Like he needs to reverse.
A fuck up.
Yeah.
So finally, 4 months later, Shackleton got a 3rd ship called the Yelcho from Chile.
That's good. That's good.
And finally, August 30th, 1916, which was almost 2 years after they set out.
Oh my God.
The men on Elephant Island were settling down to a lunch of boiled seal's backbone.
Oh, my favorite. That's so good.
When they spotted the Yelcho just off the coast. It had been 4 months since the James Caird lifeboat had left.
Oh my God.
And so they finally saw the ship approaching, like all the men were waving. And then within an hour, they had all like packed up their shit and they got on the ship.
I bet they were like coming everywhere. They were so excited.
They were just coming everywhere. Just
they're jerking off.
everywhere.
Yeah, frozen sperm flying everywhere. They were so excited.
And surprisingly, everyone was alive.
That's the craziest part. That's the craziest, that they didn't pull a Yellow Jackets and just start eating each other. Spoiler alert.
They were like, well, we gotta...
Yeah.
So Shackleton and his crew eventually made it back to England. The ship did not. So for more than a century, the Endurance remained among history's most elusive shipwrecks. Because it was in the, Antarctic Ocean. People have tried to find it, but, it's so treacherous down there that you can't find it. It's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
But last week, an international team of marine archaeologists, explorers, and scientists found the Endurance ship at the bottom of the sea.
Oh my God.
It was approximately 4 miles south of the position originally recorded when it sank.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And there's pictures of it. It had been sitting in 10,000 feet of water for over a century.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It sunk in, 1914 or whatever?
Yeah.
And it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it looks good.
The frame, it's still together. You can still see it. It reads Endurance on the front of the ship.
It looks like there's a few jellyfish attached to it.
There was one picture where there's a lobster attached to it.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
This marine archaeologist said, without any exaggeration, this is the finest wooden shipwreck I have ever seen by far.
Wow.
And they think it's because it's in such cold water that there's not a lot of animals down there to tear it apart. It's just preserved. Walt Disney's head. It's just frozen.
It froze it. And this is making its way on TikTok? This is it's going through TikTok?
This was on TikTok because the ship was just found. So someone made a TikTok about, they're like, all these men survived this journey on seal meat and penguin meat and no one died and it took 2 years. And I was like, holy shit, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, Ernest Shackleton, you've really done it this time.
You've done it this time.
You've really done it this time.
He tried again to get
this guy. What?
Fool me once.
Yeah.
Shame on me. He launched one more expedition, but the Endurance veterans who rejoined him noticed that he appeared weaker. He didn't have the spirit that had kept him alive. And then on January 5th, 1922, he had a heart attack in his bunk and died on a ship. He was 47.
Also, they rejoined him. They were like, yeah, I want to do this a second time.
They survived.
That is...
They were like, he didn't lead us astray.
These people are nuts. Old-timey people are nuts. Listen, here's my takeaway from this episode. Old-timey people are nuts.
They're nuts. They're like, oh, I'll do this for low wages and honor.
Yeah, that's honor. Come on, who needs it?
No.
Melissa, if people want to talk about the time that they had to survive on whale meat and penguin carcasses.
Yeah, have you ever had whale meat? No, I don't think I've had.
I think it's illegal, right?
Yeah, right?
Is whale meat.
Yeah, whaling.
I feel like Hayden Panettiere fought for this. Is whale meat legal?
Whaling is illegal in most countries. However, Iceland, Norway, and Japan still actively engage in whaling. Yeah, I feel like when I went to Japan in those markets, I feel like I saw whale meat. Of course, I didn't eat it though.
Their oil, disgusting. Blubber, and cartilage are used in pharmaceuticals and...
Ew.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's not legal in the United States, but it is in some other places.
Yeah. They banned it because of the extreme depletion of most of the whale stocks.
Oh my God.
Hey, you can't kill whales.
Feds charged trendy sushi restaurant for serving whale meat in Los Angeles. Santa Monica Sushi.
No.
Yeah. Federal authorities have charged a trendy Santa Monica sushi restaurant with serving whale meat, an investigation that was spurred by the team of The Cove. Typhoon Restaurant Incorporated.
How dare they?
Wow.
Damn. Permanently closed.
Good.
Restaurant.
That's disgusting. Oh my God. Yeah. At the Santa Monica airport. I swear I've seen this place. Haven't you? At the Barker.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's at like the Barker hangar. It's closed now. All right. Well, Melissa, if people want to reach us about this, where can they do so?
You can email us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com.
All right. Well, I am Allie. I've got my own blubber. I don't need a whale's seagull.
I'm Melissa 69 Dogs Stetton.
Yeah, you are. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.